Good morning, everyone, and congratulations on figuring out the whole time change thing. Welcome to Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I am Jessica Lakeman, your Director of Lifespan Faith Formation and one of your service leaders today. I am joined by Service Associate Karen Griglak. And while Reverend Lydia Ferrante Roseberry has a well-deserved day off, Tad and Emily Corieff and Debbie Larson are providing music, and our tech team this morning is Herb Axe, Larry Sherwood, and Deborah Mensch. As I say our welcome words this morning, I invite those of you on Zoom to shift into gallery mode if you haven't done so already and scroll through the variety of faces that are joining you there. Those of you in person, I invite you to look around, see who you can recognize under their mask. You are all welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all of the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how long until you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come today with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with an open mind, a loving heart, and helping hands. You are welcome here today. We commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice making, and anti-oppression and anti-racism work within and beyond our congregation.
If you're new here, we are very glad that you found us. And we hope that in this community, whether you're with us here in person today or virtually, you can experience the warmth and the love of this congregation. Each Sunday looks a little bit different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in our chat to help you get connected, and if you're in the sanctuary, you can find our newcomer form on the QR code in most of the hymnals. If it's not in yours, try another one. Or you can stop by the welcome table in the foyer to better get connected. Everybody who is on Zoom today, you're welcome to stay on after, and we invite you to stay even after the announcements, because we have wonderful musical surprises. And you can stay on even after that and have coffee together. Those of you who are here in person, please join us in the fellowship hall after the service for conversation and coffee. We also have an Inquirer series going on today, which will start about 15 minutes after the end of the service. And today is the Lifespan Faith Formation Council, and we'll tell you some more about that later. We are community-minded when it comes to COVID, to be inclusive to our immunocompromised or vulnerable populations. So we offer at least one worship opportunity per month that is mask required. You've probably figured out by now that day is today. We ask that you keep your mask on while you are in the sanctuary this morning, even while singing and even while saying your joy and your concern. As a reminder, any service participant that you see up here not wearing a mask has all taken a COVID test this morning and we came up negative. Yay! Finally, if any new visitors on Zoom would like to introduce yourselves in the chat, please do so. We would love to know who is among us. If you're here in the sanctuary, just take a moment to greet your neighbor, especially if you don't recognize them, and say hi.
As I light our chalice this morning in the sanctuary, I invite those of you on Zoom, if you have one nearby, to light yours as well, and to put chalice lit in and the name of your town into the chat so that we know where everyone is joining us from. If you'll join me, our chalice lighting words are on the screen. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action.
I will ring our bowl again. Allow yourself to settle and arrive here in this beloved community this morning. During this service, we're going to be asking you to do a lot of listening. Now, we know that that is not the easiest for everyone who is joining us today, and we just ask you to do your best. Or maybe listen to that internal voice that we have. Or look around you and let the colors you see and the sensations you feel guide your experience today. That said, in place of an opening reading, we invite you to allow yourself to listen to or watch this urban soundscape from the movie August Rush, and think on the strange and wonderful symphonies created in our daily lives that most of us hardly ever notice.
So I have a story for you this morning, which probably comes as no surprise since we call this the story service. Oh, this is one of my small people. Good morning, baby. Go sit down. Our story this morning is called Henry and the Still Small Voice. Henry sat in front of his little cabin on one of his 3 chairs, listening to the evening. If you were there, you might have thought there was nothing to listen to. Certainly no television or Spotify or Apple Music, depending on how you want to go. Those things wouldn't have been around for another 100 years or so. There was no one to talk with, no airplanes flying overhead, no traffic, not even a radio coming from next door. Mr. Emerson's house, which was the closest thing to a next-door neighbor, was over a mile away, and he didn't have a radio to play anyway. Even the natural world was still. No wind rippled the pond, and the birds had stopped singing as night approached. Still, Henry listened for the tiniest sounds. A small fish breaking the surface of the water and splashing down again. The crackle of leaves as a mouse scurried by. The sound of wings beating as a crow flew overhead. To him, these miniature sounds were music. Of course, most of the townspeople had decided that Henry David Thoreau was crazy. He decided to build a tiny cabin from used materials out in the woods behind Mr. Emerson's lot by Walden Pond. Now, why would a promising writer want to move away from society and sit with the birds and the bugs for his only company? I don't know either. But the fact was that Henry enjoyed the company of Emerson and the other thinkers who shared his transcendentalist philosophy. However, to him, The quiet of the pond and the animals and plants that lived in and around it provided excellent company. Sometimes, Henry thought, the conversation in which the least is said can be the one you learn the most from. Thank you, baby. So we're going to leave Henry for now, just for a little bit, as we join in singing a hymn which reminds us to value the simple things in life. Oh, thank you.
That hymn is number 16 in your gray hymnal. 'Tis a gift to be simple. Please rise in body or in spirit. And please, despite all temptation, leave your mask on. I promise that we will hear your joyful noise. And it's also an opportunity to notice the vibrations of the song inside your own body. So please join us in singing number 16, 'Tis a gift to be simple. Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn, turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right.
Well done, everyone. Now, before we return to Henry at his cabin in the woods, there's a very important thing that you need to know about him. Henry believed in something out there which is greater than all of us, but which also connects us to each other. It isn't something or someone that we can see with our eyes, but instead it's a spirit that we can sometimes feel in our hearts. Depending on their religion or beliefs, there are lots of different words and names that people sometimes use when they're talking about that which is beyond our understanding. Some people in this church might say spirit of life, or spirit of love, or the universe, even though they're not really talking about the stars and the planets. Other traditions use names like Yahweh or Jehovah, Elohim, Adonai, Allah, the goddess, the great mother, or God. I need you to sit, baby. Sit right here. Henry used the word God, though he came to understand it a bit differently than a lot of other people in his time. So now let's rejoin Henry by his little cabin in the woods next to the pond. As he watched the last rays of light glisten on the pond, Henry thought about the Bible story of the prophet Elijah, who crawled off to a mountain cave to listen for what God wanted him to do. While Elijah stood outside his cave, a great wind whipped around the mountains, sending boulders crashing to the ground in the fury of its passing. But God wasn't in the wind. Then an earthquake rattled the mountain with a terrific rumbling, but God wasn't in the earthquake. Then came a fire, sweeping across the rocks and brush outside the cave, red and roaring and grand. But God wasn't in the fire either. Finally, after all the roaring and crashing, everything became quiet. Elijah stood there shaking, wrapped in his cloak, just waiting. And out of the silence came the still, small voice of God. Shh. I'm not sure at all, thought Henry, but I believe in the God of the Bible, the one who chatted with Elijah. But whatever God is, I am pretty sure I know it better out here in the quiet than I would through any ranting sermon. Maybe God is speaking to me through the small voice of the jumping fish and the rustling leaves, the still pond and the stars beginning to peek through the trees. Mama. 1 second, baby. Maybe I hear God when my heart is still and when I can listen with my very smallest inner ear. Maybe. And his thoughts drifted off as a small breeze came and ruffled his hair and rippled the lake.
To honor that still small voice, we'll join in singing number 391 in the Gray Hymnal, Voice Still and Small. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing number 391 in the Gray Hymnal. We'll sing it twice through. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still will remain singing.
Henry believed in God, but he didn't believe that God was something or someone that was separate and outside of us. He believed that God was part of everyone and everything. In the trees and the birds and inside each of us. These beliefs were at the center of a movement Henry was part of called transcendentalism. That is a really long word. Miriam, can you say transcendentalism? No? Kate, can you say transcendentalism? Nice job. Transcendentalism is an important part of our Unitarian and Universalist heritages. A lot of how we talk about the importance, even the sacredness of all beings, of caring for our planet and the idea that the divine, the spirit of life and love that some people call God, lives inside all of us. That we are all sacred and worthy. Those ideas come from our transcendentalist ancestors. Now, whether you believe in God or the idea of the divine at all, the idea of the still, small voice inside is something we can all relate to, even if we're not very used to listening to it. The still, small voice is the voice of your higher wisdom. It's the heart whisper that tells you to go in the direction of the path you fear. It is the feeling you get when you're about to take a big step on your journey to go into the unknown. The still, small voice is what some people call your intuition. The voice of your soul that often gets drowned out by the louder voices telling you why something won't work, or why your instinct just doesn't make sense, or what could go wrong. Now you might be thinking, okay, my intuition, that voice that pops up once in a while to tell me something is a bad idea, the same one that whispers to take the risk when it feels right, even if it also feels scary. You should know that everyone hears that still small voice from time to time. But perhaps the voice only comes every once in a while, or maybe it feels like hardly ever. Maybe it was something that you heard years ago, but haven't in a very long time. Our culture often tells us to ignore that voice, and instead listen to the more logical, internal, and external voices. And the more we do that, the quieter it gets. The more we ignore it, the harder it is to hear. The key to hearing the still, small voice is to listen for it. And to listen for it requires stillness. You cannot do it while you're running around racing from one thing to the next. The still, small voice speaks in the soul. To hear it, you must slow down, quiet your mind and body so that you can truly listen. Most of us have invisible masks and shields we put up before we leave the house each morning. I don't mean the kind of shield that a knight might hold, though it's a very similar idea. The shields I'm talking about are the ones we put around our heart, that we put up to protect ourselves from being hurt by other people. There's shields and filters we put up to drown out the noise around us so we can concentrate on work or on school. And like a turtle who's tucked itself into its shell, while they do a great job at keeping us safe, they also make it hard to get very far, let alone to follow our dreams. The thing is that when we tune out all the noise around us, we miss the chance to hear the music. When we put shields around our heart, we make it very hard to hear the still, small voice. And so it is that in order to hear the wisdom that lies within us, to truly become aware of the music that surrounds us, dare I even say the magic of this world, we must be willing to let down our guard, to poke our little turtle head out of the shell and open ourselves up to the possibility of vulnerability and connection. It is only by shedding our layers of protection and allowing ourselves to be seen, really seen, and heard, and felt that we can truly experience the richness and depth of the human experience. Whether it's through deep conversation with a trusted friend, immersing ourselves in nature, like Henry, or simply sitting quietly with our own thoughts and emotions, we must be willing to embrace the discomfort and uncertainty that comes from stepping outside our comfort zone. Only then can we truly hear the whispers of our inner voice and connect with the beauty and wonder of the world around us. So now I'm going to invite you all to try something with me. Take a moment to get settled. Get yourself comfortable. As you are comfortable, I want you to close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths to calm your mind and body. Take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, let go of any tension or stress you may be holding on to. Allow yourself to relax as completely as you are able. Try to focus on your breathing and let go of any thoughts or worries just for a few minutes. If this feels hard for you, you can imagine your thoughts and worries in a suitcase or a backpack that you can simply set down next to you, knowing that they will all be there just as you left them when you're ready to pick them back up. Now I want you to imagine a peaceful and happy place in your mind. It could be a beach or a forest or any other place where you feel calm and confident. Once you have a clear image of your happy place, imagine yourself sitting there and listening to the sounds around you. Focus on the stillness and the quietness of the place. Take a few moments to breathe deeply and let yourself become more and more relaxed with each breath. Now imagine a small voice inside you, like a whisper. This is the voice of your inner self. The part of you that knows what you truly need and want. And it has important things to tell you. Allow yourself to focus on the stillness and quietness of your happy place. And listen carefully to the still, small voice inside you. It may be difficult to hear at first, but as you continue to listen, it will become clearer and more distinct. If there are questions in your heart, feel free to ask the still, small voice inside you. Trust that it will give you the answers you need. As you continue to listen, allow yourself to become more and more connected to your inner self and the wisdom that it holds. When you're ready, take another deep breath in and slowly bring your awareness back to the room where you are, to the chair or couch, stool or floor that you are sitting on. And slowly open your eyes, feeling refreshed and renewed. Take a moment now to reflect on what you heard from your inner self and how you might apply it to your life, to your daily living. This simple exercise is something you can do regularly to help you stay connected to your true self, to hear that still small voice inside you. And the more you practice, the easier it will become. The more you listen to that voice instead of shutting it out as our society trains us to do, the more you may start to hear the music amidst the noise. See the wonder in your surroundings and find the courage to step into the unknown. Thank you.
Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance that we have in our lives and in this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Our congregation is making a difference as a part of Together Colorado, a nonpartisan, multiracial, multi-faith, anti-racist community organizing network. Along with over 220 congregations, schools, and faith leaders throughout the state, we put human dignity at the center of public life in Colorado. They work for transforming the criminal justice system, climate justice, health care, including behavioral health, immigration fairness, and affordable housing. After the service, over in the fellowship hall, there'll be a presentation on Together Colorado's current state priorities and a chance to tell you stories and experiences of their community issues. Together Colorado upholds our principles of honoring the dignity of all people. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're in the fellowship today, feel free to place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give generously as you are able, as you are so often do. As our musical reflection begins, we invite you to reflect upon and write into the chat, if you're on Zoom, the answer to this question. What is that still small voice inside saying to you?
Just in case you're not familiar with the plot of Disney's Frozen 2, the story centers around Elsa, a girl who has been born with special gifts, but who has also been told from the time she was born that those gifts are dangerous to herself and to everyone that she loves. So she shields her heart, she shields herself to try and keep this deeper truth from coming out. And this song, Into the Unknown, comes as she cannot deny the persistence of a voice that she keeps hearing and tries to make sense of what she's supposed to do next.
Would you please add a stone for all those things that are going on in the world, from wars to bills that belittle others and put their lives in danger, and all those things that are just too numerous to mention. And one last stone for all of those joys and sorrows that remain in the silent sanctuary of our hearts that we cannot or are not yet able to name. As many of you know, I am not one for prayers in the traditional sense. And more often than not, I will use the words and blessings of others when I can't find my own. So this morning, I offer you the words of Mary Oliver and morning poem. Every morning, the world is created. Under the orange sticks of the sun, the heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fasten themselves to the high branches. And the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there is still somewhere deep within you a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly. Every morning, whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. I see you, I hear you, I love you. Blessed be.
We'd like to invite you once more to rise in body or in spirit for our closing song, but there's so much after the closing song, so don't get too excited about that. There are two parts, as you'll see on the screen, and we're going to repeat them a lot so that you can catch on. There's a lower part, which I'll indicate as this way, and then there's a higher part, which I'll show you this way, and then we're going to split, and it's going to be amazing. It goes like this. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Do that again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Here's the second part. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Do that again. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Low part. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Second part. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. I long for rest. I long for peace. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Low part. I'm coming home to the wisdom. I long for peace. Sorry, oops. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Okay, well, the high part. I'm coming for rest. To the wisdom. I long for peace. In my bones. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Do that again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Do it again. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. In my bones, I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones. Last thing all together. I'm coming home to the wisdom in my bones.
Complete success. Yes.
It worked.
Well done, everyone. Good job, leaders.
We did practice that.
We practiced, I promise. So we have some announcements, and those of you on Zoom, I know it's easy to slip away, but please don't. There is more to come. Our Inquirers series that we mentioned earlier is today. Today is the Lifespan Faith Formation with Lisa and Marianne. It's for newcomers and current members alike. So would you please drop in to any or all sessions to learn more about the congregation if you are so curious? Next Sunday, come and learn about the small groups that we have here and how you can be involved in them. It will start at about 11:30, so come in here and you can find us. Reverend Lydia's monthly adult education class starts next week with a Zoom session on Wednesday, March 15th from 1 to 3 p.m. and then an in-person session next Sunday from 11:30 to 1:30. Both sessions each month will cover the same material. The class is called Faith Like a River, and it offers a sweep of Unitarian Universalist history and heritage through the stories of its people and its events. Classes will be open and drop-in is welcome. You can also sign up ahead of time if you so want to. They will help with planning and figuring out how many chairs to put out, but it is not required. So if you're interested in attending either session this month or want more information, just email Reverend Lydia and let her know whether you'll come in person or on Zoom. Sunday sessions will have some snacks available, but please bring some of your own food, especially if you have dietary restrictions. And Tad also has an announcement for us.
That Lydia alluded to in her message. First, just a big thank you once again to Pete Wernick and Flexigrass, who put on a great show a week ago Saturday. I'm not in frame. There, just kidding. A week ago Saturday. Thanks to them, thanks to their band, and also a special thanks to all the volunteers that just kind of rise up out of our community and make things happen. You know, getting all the snacks and refreshments and advertising and all that moving and going and effective, and just very, very thankful for that. So we have a couple more concerts this year in our series, and the next one coming up on April 2nd, maybe you've seen these signs. I have a big one and I have a small one. This is the Avalis Quartet. So they are an incredible young string quartet. I would say they're all probably in their mid-20s. They studied under the Takesh, is that how you pronounce it? Thank you. Quartet at CU Boulder. So they were mentored by this world-famous group. They're now currently at the Juilliard School as the resident graduate string quartet there. So they are an incredible young group who's going to come here on Sunday, April 2nd, and perform for us. I would just encourage you, even if A, you might not think that you're a fan of classical music, to come give it a shot, because it'll be amazing. And B, if you have any young string players in your life, or in some of your family members' lives, this would be an amazing group to come experience for them. I mean, it would certainly be inspirational. And as soon as I unlock my phone, I just have one more thing to say about it. The concert is Sunday, April 2nd at 3 p.m. So it's after church. So you might, go out and get some lunch, come on back for an amazing concert. And if just one more reason why this is a really important group and why we wanted to bring this group here, aside from the amazing credentials and musicianship that they're going to bring, I'm going to read this mission statement from their website. The Avalis Quartet was formed after a conversation about a feeling of absence we shared, how we rarely saw our own faces and cultures in classical music. As members of Black and Latinx communities, we saw a lack of representation, of celebration, and of classical music making from our own communities and to our own communities. Evalis seeks to disrupt and enhance the classical music world with voices less known and sometimes unheard. By performing works for string quartet written by underrepresented BIPOC composers, the Evalis Quartet strives to bring all kinds of audience members together in musical celebration. We have set our sights on creating community, making exceptional art, and inspiring the future of classical music. Won't you join us? So, won't you join us? If, that's all I'll say. Tickets, if you can scan this little QR code on any of these signs that you may find around the building. We have student rates. Okay, I told Karen I'd speak for 20 seconds.
As I extinguish our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you at home to do so as well, and everyone to join me in our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Go in peace. Walk softly on your path. And may you find the joy, peace, and dare I say magic that lives within and surrounds us all the days of your life.
If you happen to know the words, please feel free to sing along. I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why. I wish I could be the perfect daughter, but I come back to the water no matter how hard I try. Every turn I take, every trail I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know, where I cannot go, where I long to be. See the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail on the sea stays behind me, one day I'll know. If I go, there's just no telling how far I'll go. I know everybody on this island seems so happy on this island. Everything is by design. I know everybody on this island has a role on this island, so maybe I can roll with mine. I can lead with pride, I can make us strong. I'll be satisfied if I play along, but the voice inside sings a different song. What is wrong with me? See the light as it shines on the sea, it's blinding, but no one knows how deep it goes. And it seems like it's calling out to me, so come find me and let me know what's beyond that line. Will I cross that line? The line where the sky meets the sea, it calls.